I told you, one of the most powerful life skills you will ever learn isn't how to speak, but how to listen. I want you to ask yourselves. Think about the last conversation you had. Maybe it was with a friend, your brother, your parents, or even a coworker. Think, were you actually listening, or were you just waiting for your world to talk? Be honest, because most of us do the second one. Once a few years ago, I was arguing with my dad, probably about something stupid like not making my bed one morning. And that argument led to one phrase that really stuck with me, one phrase that made me think about a big part of myself. He made me question it. The way I talked, but not just the way I talked. It was the way I expressed myself. He told me, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Use them in that proportion. I thought it was evident. I thought, so what? And immediately discarded the thought. But later, laying in my bed at night, looking at the ceiling, analyzing our conversation, I realized he was completely right. Every single person in this room has 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yet somehow, we end up using our mouths twice as much as our ears. We live in a world full of constant noise. Social media, interruptions, arguments, instant reactions. Every single person has something to say, and everyone wants to say it first. But in this rush to speak, we forget something important. Listening is not a weakness. Listening is power. For a long time, I didn't really care about this. I listened to reply, not to understand. I focused more on what I wanted to say next than what the person was saying, what they were trying to explain. And quite frankly, I actually didn't really care. For a long time, I didn't really care about this. I listened to reply, and I came to the conclusion that every person usually does that. I focused more on what I wanted to say next than what the person was saying to me. I started analyzing people a little more after that. I focused on the way they talked, their opinions, their body language, facial expressions. Basically, everything we take for granted, everything we say we know about a person, and started analyzing it. I repeated what they were saying to me in my head, as if I was the one saying it, as if it was happening to me, as if I was feeling what they were feeling, and maybe I could understand them a little better. Maybe I could feel what they were feeling, and actually listen to them, understand them. Because listening isn't just about hearing words. It's about understanding experiences, emotions, and intentions. To truly listen, when we truly listen, we stop judging and analyzing and start connecting. We stop assuming and anticipating what the other person is going to say and start learning. Because real listening creates empathy, and empathy creates stronger connections. However, listening isn't the only thing that matters here. Our choices do too. We're always one moment, one decision away. That's all it takes to change everything. My dad made me realize that I reacted without thinking. He made me analyze it. He made me question myself. Because it only takes us a few seconds to say what we want to say. It only takes us a few seconds to make the decision and maybe say something irrational. Maybe something that we're most probably going to regret. I realized and learned that when we truly listen, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the other person. We have to analyze the way they talk to them. And that made me realize and question myself. Because for the people who don't know me, I like to talk a lot. I talk a lot and really say what I think. And maybe it's not always the best option. Not maybe. Usually, you have to think what you say before you say it. You have to consider how the other person is going to receive that information. You have to think how the other person is going to feel that, what impact your words are going to have on the other person's life. And analyzing this, they made me realize that one choice can completely change the way some people saw me. And it kind of forced me to see myself differently too. It forced me to see how other people would see me, how they would perceive me if it was the first time they saw me talking. Every action we take, even the small ones, the ones we think aren't big enough to matter, are important. In today's world, we react fast, we act fast, we think fast, and we judge fast. We rarely take a moment to step. We really take a moment to think about what we're saying, to think about the impact our words is going to have on the other person's life. But when we pause, when we allow our rational side to step in, and let logic guide us, we can see those mistakes and change them. Scientists explain the brain has two hemispheres. The right side is more connected to emotion and instinct, while the left side is connected to logic and reasoning. Knowing that, we can actually learn how to formulate questions, statements, and opinions, to be careful in what we say, to analyze really what we're going to say, to formulate the question, to formulate your statement. Sometimes, when people talk to me, their words go in from one ear and out the other. And I'm sure it happens to every single person in this room. And maybe think about an argument you had before with a person, the last argument you had with your parents, with your friends, with a teacher. When people point out what you're doing, imagine someone said in an argument, "You're not really listening to me. Stop interrupting me. Let me talk. Let me finish." We tend to get defensive. I know I do. And I'm certain many of you have had the same problem before. I want to challenge the way we talk. I want to challenge the way we express ourselves. I want you to think about how you approach everyone. I want you to think how you are with a new person. Imagine a new friend, someone you've never talked to before. That way, when we meet someone new, we kind of reinvent the way we are. We are not right away the way we are with our friends, with our parents. We kind of hide a part of ourselves. So I want you to challenge that. I want you to listen. Look engaged, make eye contact, and put distractions away. Interrupt lets. Let others finish their thought before saying yours. Seek to understand. Ask questions. Don't assume what people are going to tell you. Think before responding. Pause. Let logic guide you. Let empathy and logic work together, not against each other. Empathize. Try to feel what others might be feeling. Finally, notice emotions. Pay attention not just to words, but to tone and body language. Because if we want to understand someone, we can simply remember one word: listen. Because listening isn't passive, it's intentional. I used to think being heard meant being important. But after I realized that making someone feel heard, making someone feel important is what truly makes you impactful. So when I realized this, I started paying more attention to a person while talking to me. I looked at body language, facial expressions, tone, even mood. I tried to understand what they were going through. I kind of did a social experiment, mostly for myself, because I wanted to prove it to myself. I wanted to see if I was saying something coherent. So, based on the person, I told something to them. I created a statement, and I have done it for at least 1 year, I think. I created a statement based on the person I was talking to that I knew would cause a shock, a reaction in them, something that made them reactive, something that would impact themselves, something that would make them want to defend themselves. After, I tried to kind of predict what they were going to answer, again, based on the person I was talking to. I tried to think, what are they going to tell me next? Are they actually listening to me? Did they hear the first thing I said? Did they hear the important thing I said? Did they hear how I feel about the situation? So, there's a psychological phenomenon that is called the primacy effect versus cognitive distraction. The primacy effect is the theory that we retain better the first piece, maybe second and last piece of information better, because our brain gives it more weight and stores it better in our brain. And cognitive distraction is the theory that we retain better, our brain retains better information when it's connected to an image, a strong mental image. For example, if I'm telling you something and I say the blue water bottle, you're probably gonna remember the blue water bottle, not a possibility, not a strong emotion I might have mentioned. These two concepts completely contradict each other. One says we retain the first thing, but when introduced a new emotionally compelling piece of information, it says, cognitive distraction is based on it literally works as a distraction. We forget the main thing that we were supposed to listen, that we should have absorbed better. And gives it like spotlight instead of the first thing we should. That proves that it basically proves that we don't really listen. That literally the words go in from one ear and out the other. That we don't really care. It proves selective attention. That we only hear what we want to hear. That we only care about and retain what it's in favor. And we only care about what it's maybe like an answer, like searching for hints in what someone is saying. So maybe the most powerful person in the room isn't the one speaking the loudest, but listening the hardest. Maybe the most impactful person in the room isn't the one saying the most important thing, but listening the deepest, making others feel just as important. I want you to ask yourselves, will your words build a connection or break it? Thank you.